Welcome to the Beyond Divorce Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Well, good day to everybody out there who's, traveling to work or working out or whatever you may be doing to just pop into the podcast. And, people will just do other stuff while they podcast. That's what I've learned, Armando?
Yes. I mean, I listen to podcasts when I work out, right? I don't know if I could listen to myself while I work out. That's weird.
Making dinner. Turn on the pod. Yeah, that's funny.
Dinner. I could see that.
Sure. I mean, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for joining us, being a part of what we do, being a part of the show, listening in.
But put down the knife. If you're not on your ex, put down the knife, please.
Yeah. No holding knives while you're in the cutting board.
Or listening to the podcast. Maybe working out does help as you're thinking about, what's going on in your family life. Maybe it does help, actually.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Sharpening the knife, right? Where you're preparing to cut yeah, that's so funny. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us in being a part of the show, and I think the thing is we try to keep it light. These are heavy topics, and we want to keep it light for you. We want to have a good time. We want to talk about things. We want to laugh, or joke, and we want you guys to always feel like you can chime in. There is a joke I'm going to say. Is it okay, Armando? You made that face like, oh no, Michael's going to say a joke.
No, make a joke, Michael. I'm sure it's fine. And if it's not, we'll edit it out. It's fine.
Do you know how many narcissists it takes to change a light bulb?
No, how many?
None. They use gaslighting.
That's good. That's good. I don't hate that.
That's so bad, though. Okay, anyway, stupid joke. See, people are probably laughing now. They're probably having a good time with that. I do want to say this, Armando, since this is the first show I've had you back since the training we had out in Galveston. Thank you for doing that. I know the feedback was awesome, and I want to let the listeners know how much we appreciated. We are now taking this information and getting it out to not just the public. We're getting it out to counselors. We're getting out, things to professionals to help them be in a better position to serve families of divorce or high conflict. And that's really what we did. And I think the feedback was awesome.
No, I think it was. It was very good feedback. I think it was a blessing to go out and help other clinicians who are seeing these types of families that, maybe we can't serve, but they're elsewhere in the state or beyond, to be able to really help families. And that's ultimately the goal, right? Like to make a bigger ripple so that it kind of impacts more people.
Right. And I think the mission of Brighter Possibilities was always to serve the public, but really now we're moving into another tier, which is to serve the professionals so that they can better serve the public, right? And there's more professionals available. There's more availability to serve families of divorce or high conflict, and understanding systems and how systems function and work together. Because the truth is, like you and I both know this, that we truly believe in the power of systems.
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of this is, how do you introduce somebody into your new system?
That's exactly right. I mean, that's what we're going over today. So today's topic really is about introducing this new relationship you're in to your children, because you're bringing a person into the system now,
right?
Into its function or its dysfunction or whatever else you may have going on. You're bringing your person in. And so let's dive into where you think we should go with that.
Yeah, I would just first say, listeners, the last podcast I was on, we talked about introducing your new partner to your co-parent, how to do that. And I think it's a misnomer that a lot of times they do the kids first, but I think you really need to let your co-parent know ahead of time.
Yes.
Because if you go back and listen to that podcast, we kind of go into why that is and kind of the reasoning behind it. So if you haven't, I would encourage you kind of pause this one, listen to all the other ones in between, but get to that last one that I was on, and that'll really help kind of clear the path for this one. So
Absolutely.
if you have questions about, well, you're talking about the kids, but what about the co-parent? Well, we already talked about that. So if you go back and take a listen to that, that'll help kind of be a good springboard into this conversation today.
Oh, I agree. So let's assume, if you haven't already paused, feel free to pause, go back to the last one we did with Armando.
But please finish this podcast if you pause this. Please come back and listen.
Well, you're going to want to, and you're going to see in a second. But go ahead and pause and go back to that. But for those of you who've already listened to it, recall it, remember, let's jump into now introducing that person. So now you've had the discussion. We've talked about how to do that, what that looks like, the best approach to doing that. Now we're talking about that person actually being in and introduced to. So let's jump right in.
Well, I think the first question is, well, when is the right time, right? When do I do this?
The timing of it.
The timing of it, right? Well, I always encourage parents that make sure that it's a stable, committed relationship, right? You don't just introduce a rando to the kids.
It's always rando.
Because they are randos. They're randos that
it's randa,
are randos.
Randas or randos, yeah.
I mean, but how many times have you heard like, oh yeah, my mom's new boyfriend, or yeah, my dad's new girlfriend, and you're like, well, which one is this one? I have a family I've been working with for a while, and every 6 months the kid jokes with me.
Great.
He's like, and I was like, is this the same girlfriend? And I always feel bad asking that question.
But you're clarifying.
And he laughs and he goes, no, it's been 6 months apart. It's a new one. And he's like, yeah, because she figured out who my dad was.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my God. I was like, don't say that. And he goes, well, you met my dad. I was like, well, and we don't get into it. But there is this child, like, he knows, right? And dad will introduce them within less than a month of dating. And the kids have they have a timer in terms of how long dad's relationships are going to be. And they don't take the time to get to know this person.
Right.
So
what you're saying is, if you're going to introduce someone, make sure this is something that you've committed to as a long-term relationship. This is not just someone that you expect to be done with in a month or a week, right. Or I don't really know where this is going. So maybe it's like, hey, I'm literally considering potentially marrying this person.
Or it's like we're real serious. We're going to be around more, or I'm going to be gone because I'm going to be out on dates with this person. Because kids want to know, well, where are you? Where are you going?
Yeah, your life is different. What's going on with it?
And so I think it's important to understand that first, right? Like that it shouldn't be a very serious, stable relationship. Stable being another optimal word here, right? Like if you're breaking up every other week, probably hold off on introducing the kids to this person.
I agree. I 100% agree. I'll go ahead and say this. My dad, before my dad married my current stepmom, who's been in my life since I was like, 12, 14, somewhere in there. My dad, I got introduced to, a multitude of girlfriends, probably like 3 or 4. I know my dad dated many more than that, but some happened because it was just one of those. It was going to happen. There was an event that the family was at. Dad was bringing the girlfriend, but my dad, I only met her once, But I will say, as a kid, I remember feeling those inconsistencies and feeling that non-stability. Yep. It felt unstable, and so I didn't know how to trust it. I didn't know who I was going to be with. Who was my consistent? My grandparents actually were my consistent. That's who I depended on. That's who was going to be there. I knew what the environment was going to be. I know exactly how that was going to look for me, and I'm so thankful to my grandparents that they were that for me growing up as a kid. However, when I look back at that, what you're saying here is super important, is if my dad would have just had maybe the one or maybe even just 2 that were really serious, that one maybe not worked out and the other one did, it probably would have been a lot easier on me as a kid.
It does. And I think even working in like the court system, you'll see that all the time in the orders, right? Like no paramours coming around, like they're not supposed to have paramours staying over or being met with the kids. And so that can be an issue also if you're in litigation. So you want to insulate yourself from things like that also.
Exactly. And then there's something you said here about kids and how kids might be...
Yeah, kids can still, understand where your kids are at. They can be struggling. It might be a year or 2 afterwards, and the kids are still asking, well, when is daddy coming home? When is mommy coming home? When are you guys...
You're talking about like their own parents.
Yeah.
When are mom and dad going to resolve this and get back together?
They're still wanting and hoping that you're going to be back together. So those kids are not ready to...
Do you think that's the majority of kids in a divorce want their parents to reconcile?
It depends. I've seen it on both sides, right? I've had kids where I've asked, I was like, well, would you want your parents back together? And they very quickly say, absolutely not. Right? Because
so you've had those.
they know, they're well aware of how much their parents dislike each other or how much they did not work together, that kind of piece. I've had ones where they can't understand the concept because their parents were not together whenever they broke up when they were so young. So like, that's not normal.
I've never known them together.
So like, that's not something I want. And then I've had the other side where they do want their parents to be back together. And they'll say that. I mean, and it's been 3-4 years after the fact. I'm like, bro, your mom's been remarried. You got a half sibling. Like, what are we doing? But they're still processing that.
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, I laugh because I'm like, it's so true. These kids, I'll say it this way. This is at least the experience I've had with kids is that most kids, if you really broke it down and you asked them, and I have before, they ultimately dream of what a family could look like together, to be able to have one home and not two.
I think more than that, when I've talked, especially with the older kids, because that's who I like to work with, right? I like the teens. It's more about consistency, right? Stability, like you spoke to earlier. If I don't care if mom's happy with this person or my dad, but what's going to give me the greatest stability? What's going to give me the greatest consistency?
Right.
That's what they need.
Right.
And so the less conflict there is, the more stability there is. And maybe it's with this new step parent. Maybe it's with this long-term boyfriend or girlfriend, whoever. If that's going to give me that, that's going to alleviate a lot of that. And I think that's what kids are craving for. They're craving what they miss because they've known their parents together that entire time. Now that's a division. What is that going to look like? So if you can still kind of keep that consistency.
Yeah. If it's consistent and stable, it's predictable.
And that's right.
And so to a child that feels like comfort.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the warm blanket.
And so I think going into that comfort, understanding that yes, that relationship may be serious and giving you comfort, that the child may not be ready for that kind of.
Ooh, what an important point. It may bring you comfort. Doesn't mean it's creating comfort for them.
Yep.
So then let me ask it this way. When the kid has a really strong foundational relationship with their parent, and that relationship is very comforting, do you think that when they do introduce a new partner in, it's easier because they already have that comfort built with that one parent?
Yes, because there's not that fear of that parent leaving, right? Or being replaced.
The abandonment,
right?
Replaced, yeah. They're going to spend more time with their boyfriend, girlfriend now than they're going to make time for me or something like that.
And that really goes into my next point about making sure you prep the kids for that. And the first thing is reassuring them that, you know what, you are still a priority for me, right? Like you are important to me. I care about you where you're at. Like this person is not going to replace your other parent. This person.
Would you encourage the parents then when they're going to introduce this partner to actually have a conversation of what their fears are about this person? Okay, I'm gonna. So I have let's say maybe age wise is probably important to think about here, but you sit down with your kids and you say, hey, I have someone I've been dating pretty seriously. I'm going to be going on dates. They're going to be coming around. But before that happens, I want to know, what concerns do you guys have about it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, if there's fears related to it, if there's hopes or dreams that you feel are being crushed as a result, what are all those things?
Let's talk about it, right?
Because you're encouraging these parents that they should.
Yes, you want to have that conversation. I do that in my office all the time. We'll talk about kids. I'll talk with kids and I'll be like,
sure.
What do you think about like your parents dating? Are they dating anybody? And they'll tell me like, oh yeah, that's fine. Or like, I don't care. Or absolutely not. Like,
yeah, you get the absolutely not.
Yeah, you get those. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about that, right?
But there's something behind that.
Right.
If someone's got a hard no, absolutely not, there is something there. And it's not, well, why not? Because they get defensive. It's help me understand that.
What do you
you are really dead set on your answer here. Help me understand. And when you do it that way, you get a dialogue with them. And that's so important because you want your kids to dialogue that deep stuff with you. That no is going to help you do that.
It's going to help you.
Don't look for just the yeses. They may just be telling you yes because what you want to hear.
Yep. And I think part of that is you want to avoid surprise introductions.
Oh,
right? Like that is, you want to get ahead of that. So I had a case, this was years ago. This kid was what, 12, 13, middle school, like late or middle school. He was already kind of distancing himself from mom. They already kind of had a rocky relationship.
Okay.
Well, kid came over to pick up some hockey stuff that he had left at mom's house, and mom happened to have a paramour over, and kid came.
A rando? Wasn't rando.
I don't know how random it was.
Okay, paramour. Got it. Not a rando. Okay, got it.
He was still around years later, but I think at that time he was still kind of a rando. So
Let's see.
kid didn't know that mom was dating.
So kid shows up and surprise,
Here's this guy, and it just blew up. Kid was pissed off. Kid takes off from the house, calls dad.
Did the kid explain to you what that experience was for him and why he responded in such a way?
Because mom had assured him that she wasn't looking to change her life, that she was trying to create stability. And here's this
So he felt completely lied to.
Yeah, he did. And there had been a history of half-truths and misinformation.
So then you have the parent that's like, if I tell my kid I have someone I'm seriously dating, they're not going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying it's better to have that up front before they accidentally, or like don't keep it from them, because if you keep it from them, you're going to have a bigger issue.
And they're going to feel lied to. And I think we talked about this in the last
Deceived.
podcast.
They feel deceived, yeah.
Yeah, like I've had kids find their parents' like dating profiles, their Tinder, right? Like whatever they're on, and
they have a picture. I saw it on their phone. So they had a screensaver or a
who's this, right? And they're gonna ask those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lie. Don't lie. Be like, yes, that is somebody I'm dating, or that's what's going on here, right?
Yeah, it's funny because you're right. The more sessions I've had where parents were dating someone and they lied to the kid and it blew up in their face, then they bring them to therapy and they want to work through it. But the kid's like, well, where am I supposed to trust you at? You've already broke that with me. And so now the parent's like yearning to get back to where they were before. And you're saying, hey, the best way to preserve it, even when they don't like it, is to still be honest.
And there's no shame in dating someone and telling the kids, keep it age appropriate, right? Like, I'm dating somebody, or I'm going out with a friend, or whatever you're doing, but that doesn't mean you have to introduce them right away. And when the kids ask, well, when do I get to meet this person? I don't know that it's that serious yet. I don't want to bring new people into your life until I'm certain that this is something that's...
Would it be okay?
Would it be okay?
Yeah. Would it be okay? I'm so glad you're interested in meeting them, but would it be okay for me to kind of hold off until I can tell it's really a serious thing? Like right now, it's just date.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like a girl liking you at school and you're not really that interested right now. I mean, you're interested enough to give them attention, but you're not interested enough to say, hey, we want to make this a real thing. So would it be okay for me to wait till we get there before you introduce? What a really nice thing to say to your kid, because you're considering them, but you're also saying, here's one of my lines.
Well, what you're also doing is you're modeling like good dating habits also, right? Like you're also modeling like good relationships. I have a lot of parents that are like, they're heartbroken that they couldn't model good relationships because they're divorced, their marriage ended in divorce or whatever. And I said, well, you know what? This is a great opportunity for you to kind of show them what that can look like.
What about the parent that says, like what you said, that mom said to that boy, that she was not gonna, she was working on her own life. She wasn't really gonna. When a parent says, oh, I'm not gonna date, it's all about you, I just want to focus on being a good mom or a good dad. Do you think that's a really is that helpful to say, even if they mean it? Or do you think it's better to say, because who knows, some guy could knock you off your feet, or some woman you meet at an event or something could knock you off your feet. Now what are you going to do? You just told your kids, it's all you now.
I think it's really hard. You have to really balance that where you say, you're my priority, because then sometimes that's not the case. And it's not that your kids aren't the priority, but you are also important to me. There are many things that are important to me.
I'm not out looking for dating.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to embrace it if it shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I am going to do is I'm going to focus on being the best parent for you.
Right.
And if that does come into my life, I'll look into it. That's not going to change the dynamics I have here when it comes to being your parent.
And also reassuring what the roles are, right? When this new person comes in.
Exactly.
This person is not taking over to be your new mommy or daddy, or, they're an added bonus, right? They're a bonus parent to that. When you get to that point, like maybe not right away, not after first meeting and you're like, oh, here's your new dad. Like, don't do that.
Well, and I think you've probably had this come up in therapy too, where the kids come in and they want to call this person dad or call this person mom. And the parent will tell you, well, I didn't tell them they needed to call me. They wanted to do that on their own. Do you think a parent should correct a kid and say, hey, you know what? I know you may want to do that, but you actually have a bio parent?
Absolutely.
There you go.
I think especially if you're dating that person and like you're not even married to that person,
and they're wanting to call them dad,
and they want to call them dad, like that's great that you have that connection and that you're that fatherly or motherly figure, you're that parental figure. That's phenomenal. That's a great resource for that child. but they do have a parent, right? And that parent may or may not be involved in their life. And again, this is situational, and there are very specifics to it. But I think a good rule of thumb is we don't want to do that, right? I have plenty of parents or families that I work with where they have nicknames, right? For that step parent. So it's their own unique special name. That's not mom or dad. It's whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. I was just thinking of a case. Armando, you're explaining all that I think I had a case where the kid was, I think, 1, and the parent went to jail, like prison.
Mm-hmm.
The kid turned 10, I think. So like 9 years they were gone. And while the kid was 2, a new person had come into mom's life. They married. I don't think they had kids, but they married. And so this guy's raising this kid as his son. Now remember, he's only 2 years old when he's raising him. So he's growing up. This is dad.
That's my dad.
And so what ended up happening is when the dad got out of prison, he went to the court and said, I want to see my kid. And the court, okay. So that legally you're the bio parent. You legally have a right to. So they were going to start with supervised visitation, but they wanted to include therapy because the child doesn't even know that this is their parent. So I remember the first meeting I had with the bio mom and that, and she was terrified. She's like, what am I going to tell my son? Like, who's he meeting? I was like, who is he meeting? Well, he's meeting his dad. But he's always thought that this was, and I said, well, whose fault is that?
You weren't clear, yeah.
And I said, I think you and bio dad need to have a conversation about what this is going to look like. And that he is dad, and that's going to happen. And we're about to expose to a child who's always known this other guy to be dad, that this is about to happen. And how do we want to do that? To think about what the child needs. Mm-hmm. And that was a tough one. I think what we ended up doing is we had a meeting with all the adults, even the stepdad in this case. And we talked through what that would look like. And then when we had the kid told that this is your dad, this is actually your dad, we did that with stepdad and mom only, if I remember correctly. And then after we did that, we talked about the dad coming in, but I had an individual with the kid. And then once that happened, kid got to meet dad. Then once the kid met dad, they started doing their supervised visits. And I don't know, I only think I did like 3 or 4 sessions after that. But I did tell dad individually, the bio dad is like, if you're going to do this, like if you're going to come back into the child's life now that you've been in prison, you can never
leave again.
Unless it's out of his hands.
Right.
But when it's completely in your control, yeah, you're here. You're all in.
I would agree.
Yeah, all the cards are in. There's no I'm in. Oh, it's hard. I'm backing out. Oh, mom's not letting me. You can't do that. You're in. You're in.
Yeah, if you're gonna jump in this pool, you're gonna be
in the pool. That's right. Waves and all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're in it. Because the child needs that at that point. So I see. Anyway, sorry, I maybe got off topic.
Well, but to your point though, right? I think it's important to be clear about what the roles are going to be. Right?
Yeah.
What are the roles of this new person coming in?
Yeah. Who is this person? Yeah.
Who is this
isn't
person?
dad. This is
right.
Yeah. This is.
And it's also important that as the parent, you have clear expectations and roles for this new partner that you're dating also. Right? Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Are they coming in and do they get to discipline the kid? What is that going to look like? Because that's a whole other thing, which those are conversations.
Can I be honest and just tell the listeners, no, I don't think you let the new person come in and discipline the kid at all. They support you. They don't do discipline. You do discipline.
Don't disagree.
But what if I go to run an errand to the store and they're doing something they're not supposed to do at the house? Well, that's different. You say, hey, while I'm gone, Jim or whoever the boyfriend is, or Tina, if it's the other way around, is, in charge of the kiddo. Hey, and so you report back. You say, I wouldn't do that. I don't think mom's going to like that. Or I don't think dad's going to appreciate you. And so I'm going to ask you not to do that. You can correct them. But when it comes to disciplinarianship and like, hey, they're grounded, they're this, that needs to be the bio parent.
But I also think that's very much down the road from just introducing, right? Like if you bring 100%. In, you're like, oh, now you're in charge. Like, wait, who are you? Right? Like, I don't know who you are. I'm not going to listen to you.
How many times have you seen cases spiral out of control because an introduction of a boyfriend or girlfriend who wanted to take over?
All the time.
And it never turns out well, does it?
No, it doesn't. And that's, John and I were actually having that conversation about the roles of outside influences of other partners.
Yeah.
So we were having that conversation not too long ago. But to that point is that, so when you actually have the actual interaction,
yep.
Right? So once it gets time, you've done all the prep work, you've talked to the kids seem okay with it, they're ready, your significant other is ready, you've had the conversation with the co-parent. I think that the best way is a low impact, low pressure interaction, right?
Describe what that looks like. Low
So-
impact, low pressure.
Something casual, something like, hey, we're going to the park for an hour. We're going to get ice cream. We're going to do something. We're just going to kind of, it's going to be relaxed. It's going to be chill.
Touch and go.
Touch and go. Just, well, don't touch the kids, but
That's not what I meant.
look, it's a different,
You're worried about this interpretation.
I'm nervous. But
Armando.
keep it super, super casual, super just kind of coming in, doing something fun, lighthearted, nothing too intense. And honestly, make sure that it's something that is not nostalgia for past things. Like, oh, well, we used to do this as a family when we were together.
Ooh, that's a great
Do
point.
not introduce the new partner in something like that.
I'm so glad you said that. Introducing the partner into the former routines you had as a family when you were together.
Do not do that.
Man, I can see that. You know why, though, that's so important? Because people like routines.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see them. Oh, man. What?
And because it's usually done out of like, well, I know they really like going here.
The intent is good.
Yeah, they enjoy doing this. I know they know where everything is. It's safe, that kind
We
of.
always rode the train at the Forest Park, blah, blah, blah. And so we're going to go.
Yes, but I always rode that train with mom and dad or with dad. And now you have this new person coming
And
in,
you want to.
right? And then we get into this all the,
And you know what do you think that the parent's going to complain that is?
yeah, that you're trying to replace me.
Yeah. You're alienating.
You're alienating me. Look at what you're doing.
Uh-huh. And you know what? They may have some cadence to that statement. And here's the crazy thing about it. You and I can look at it as a therapist from a perspective of, hey, I think the intention is there. I get the intent. Here's a nugget. People, and I think I've said this before, and this is actually not from me. This is another thing that I heard Jay Shetty. People judge other people on their behaviors, and we judge ourselves on our intentions.
Mm-hmm. Based on the internal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what we should really do is do it in reverse. If we judge others on their intentions and judge ourselves on our behaviors, we'd be better judges.
You are asking a lot of people to be able to recognize what's in themselves and to give grace to other people, which I'm pro all of that.
What it means is you become curious about someone's intention when they behave in a way that's opposite of what you think. So when you take the kid to the train with the boyfriend, knowing that that's my thing that I do, I would say, hey, I noticed this happened. I took it to mean this.
What is this about?
Yeah. Remember what that kid came up with in my office a while back? When he said, when you did X, I took it to mean X. Is that what you intended?
What did you mean by this?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way we should be asking of each other.
Well, what's the intention, right? And I think and usually when these things have occurred, it's usually of good intention. It's like, well, this is something that I knew that they liked, they're comfortable doing, but there was a nostalgia, there was another piece to that. And so with that said, even when you have those interactions and the behaviors of the kids regress or it's different and you're like, my kid doesn't act this way, that's normal.
Right.
That is a normal response to this change, right? It's different. And so the kid is going to react different. And it may take time, consistency, right? If this person is stable and going to be in your life, then that consistency over time.
100%. And I think what we're saying is, and I'm glad you talked about this, Armando, is overall what we're saying is when you do go out and you do date and you do have someone you may be getting serious with and everything else, it is okay.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's about how you're going to introduce that into your system so that the children get the benefit of it best, and you're not reintroducing roles. You're not changing the stability that the children have. You're being cognizant and respectful of your co-parent.
And you're not going to put yourself to be triangulated later.
There you go. Do you think they'll listen to the triangulation? I hope they did.
Yeah, if you have not go back and listen.
You got look. If they can't tell already, like a lot of these episodes like build on the others. So I hope our listeners understand. Like we're going to use words, and I'm not going to go back and repeat what triangulation is. There's a whole section of that on here, and I'm not to offend anybody, but like
there's a deep dive of what that actually is.
Exactly. So you're right, and you don't want to triangulate yourself later, and you will, and because triangulation happens so simply and so easily in systems and dynamics like this.
And it starts with just these introductions, right? It starts
It's
with,
correct.
And you don't notice until it's too late and you're like, how did we get here? This is how we get.
Yeah, because
It's being intentional, and I know this is a lot, listeners. I know it's a lot to be intentional with everything that you do. I think I say that all the time, but it is important that you're aware and you're being intentional with, especially these big things. How do I do that? And I know sometimes it's easier to just introduce the kids to the partner before you talk to the co-parent. I really do believe, and I've seen it, that having that conversation with the co-parent gets ahead of all those issues before that.
oh my gosh, what's the old thing they used to bison and cows? What was do you remember that story?
Where they run into, you said the story. I don't know what podcast we were on, but you said that story.
Yeah.
And I did look it up because I was like, oh,
Is it true?
it's true. They do see that does actually happen, because I did have to fact check that. So you
I
said,
like that you did that.
well, yeah,
I like it you did that. It's awesome. But yeah, the idea was that bison run towards storms and cows run away from them. And the problem is the storm never stops coming. When the cows run away from the storm, but the storm keeps coming. And so they stay in a state of anxiety longer because they keep avoiding the thing that they run toward. Bison run toward storms.
Mhm.
They don't like them either, but they run toward the storm because they can get through it faster. And so you're right. If you had that conversation with your co-parent before you ever introduce this person to your children, you're actually running toward a storm.
be a bison.
Be a bison. And like, here's the deal. It could be problematic either way, but wouldn't you rather meet that on the front end than dealing with it on the back end?
I think it's better than spending thousands of dollars in court because you're arguing over this new person that's come into the life, or however it goes. And it also sets the stage to when your other co-parent brings somebody in, what's the expectation of that?
Yep.
Again, it's all modeling too.
Modeling is an important part of this process. I agree. So this is wonderful. Was there anything else you want to share with the listeners on this particular topic?
I think take your time, right? Less is more sometimes. Really be sure that this person it's a little bit more than like the typical dating when you're younger, because it is more important. There's an extra part in the system. Your system is a little bit more complicated. So be very sure that this person is worth it. And have that conversation with your partner. So that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I think talking to the person you're about to introduce to the kids, like, hey, look, the kids may be rejecting.
Mm-hmm.
They may not like it as much, or I don't know what you're going to get. But here's the deal: you're here for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a package deal, dude.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things, and have so much. I do love my stepmom very much. Gosh, she's known me most of my life. But I'll never forget an argument my parents were having in the kitchen, and my stepmom said, I can't wait till he moves out. Talking about me. Remember, this is my stepmom,
Mm-hmm.
so she's not my bio parent. And then she was just, we were in a tiff. I was triangulated in the middle of an issue between my dad and my stepmom and myself. And she told my dad, I can't wait till he moves out. And I'll never forget this. And my dad's response was, well, we'll go pack our bags.
Mm.
And she said, you would leave me just like that? And this is probably kind of a neat thing my dad said. He goes, God blessed me with him and gave me a responsibility to raise that boy right there. I chose you. I can replace my choice, but I cannot replace my responsibility and my gift.
Yeah.
And so if you're ever going to put me in a position to pick between you and them, you will always lose. I love you as my wife, and I love him as my son. And that is a different type of love. And I thought about that, and I've grown up now, and I think about what my dad said there. He really explained the roles.
Right.
He explained what the meaning is between both relationships and how he was going to navigate that. And it was very clear. And I remember she got real teary-eyed, went to the restroom, and my dad followed her in there and talked to her and came back out, looked at me because I felt like, oh, great, I created this.
Yeah.
I did this. It's because of me.
Yeah.
I'm the problem.
Because of me. Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, I can't wait to move out because then they won't have these issues anymore. Yeah, right. The saying is, as a kid, this is what kids do.
No, it is.
Do parents not realize that children don't think of themselves, they're actually thinking of you, the parents? You know what parents are thinking about?
What?
Themselves.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
The parents will tell you they think of their kids, but I think they think of themselves. I think the kids think of the parents. That's why parentification is so easy for most of the time in these cases. So anyway, gosh, man, I'm sorry. I don't know why I had to tell that story.
No, but I think it illustrates just the importance of figuring out how you navigate all this stuff when you are sometimes put in the middle of, I am a parent, but do I deserve happiness now that I'm not connected with this other person? And,
Right.
right. What does that look like for me? Because I also think parents need to be in a good place in order to help their kids, right? If they're not happy, if they're not in a good spot, they're not going to be in a good.
I agree. If you guys are not, if you're not, see, a lot of these parents are dating people to fulfill the hole they have from, they do. You can say it. I know you.
No,
I'm covering your mouth. Like, I don't want to say it.
No. I agree with you that they are. They're just trying to kind of feed a need of things.
Yeah.
Have to be very careful.
People get into relationships to fill holes and not get into relationships to connect. That's the issue, I think, in society today. So if you're a parent who's like, oh, I want to date because I want to, sure, you want to go have fun. You want to get attention. You want someone to like you and
Every other
enjoy
week
you.
I got a free week.
There it is. And what was that? Do you remember the movie Wedding Crashers?
Yes.
Do you remember when he tells that lady in the beginning scene, he goes, you want to be able to, go to the dance club and the guy's all up on you and da-da-da-da. And he goes, would you want that or you want to be thinking about this? He's trying to help him mediate so he can settle. And it's kind of a joke and everyone's laughing about it. But the truth is, human beings crave that attention.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel lonely and you're divorced and you want that attention, whether you're the man or the woman, you like someone giving you attention and giving you time and wanting to love you. And it feels good. But you got to ask yourself the question, am I doing this to fulfill my need? Am I really doing this because I'm collaborating and having a relationship? You know what I mean?
No,
you're not filling the hole.
Well, my little brain is going for next podcast topic.
So here we go.
That's for a next.
See how they build?
That's for a next one. But
okay, we'll do it next.
And I think ultimately, I want to leave the listeners with this: is like less is more. Take your time. There is no clear roadmap to this.
No.
If you have questions, reach out to us. We're here. That's what we do.
We'll answer what we know and what we've learned. But you're right. There's not a clear path. I can't tell you a direct line on how to get from A to Z. It's about really self-reflecting and navigating what you're really getting into the relationship for, and then how you're introducing it and modeling it for your children and for your co-parent, and making sure that the roles are well defined. You are mom and you are dad, and that's that. Whoever you bring in is the plus one. And that's why I love the course you have coming out with bonus parents.
That's why we made it for them.
We made it because you're not replacing, you're a bonus, you're a plus. What does that look like?
Life is complicated, so we're going to address some of those complications.
So for you listeners that may be listening in and you are a bonus parent, or you are a listener who has a bonus parent that you think would benefit from understanding what that role might look like, we have a course coming out. I think it's wonderful, and I'm so excited that the listeners have something other than just the podcast to go to that they can really take a deep dive in and learn from. So thank you, Armando, for doing that for them, and we look forward to having that out there for everyone to look into. So thank you so much, listeners, for being here. We ask that you keep moving forward.